Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rolco Radio Free Day with the McKenzie Art Gallery program launching African Canadian Black History Month. And this is an event in partnership with the McKenzie Art Gallery and the Saskatchewan African Canadian Heritage Museum, known as SACM. And I am the Executive Director of SACM. We will open with the Canadian National Anthem and the African Anthem. But first, I will introduce you to the singer. He is David Sani. He's professionally known as Davy Sage, a SACM board member, who's a Nigerian-born recording artist and songwriter from Regina. And born in Nigeria, he moved to Canada in 2010 to live with his sister. He has been featured on major Canadian media platforms, and his music has been played all over across Canadian radio. He has also attended and showcased at Canadian music and art festivals. And he will sing our national anthem, O Canada, and then the African anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing. Thank you, Davy. You're on mute.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. We're going to sing the Canadian national anthem now in 3, 2, 1. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing heart, we see the rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. And we're going to sing the African anthem now in 3, 2, 1. Lift every voice and sing to earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun, I knew they begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Thank you so much.
Some songs are a call to action, and that is absolutely one of them. My name is Crystal Mowry, and I'm the Director of Programs at the McKenzie Art Gallery. As is the case with live stream presentations, we are gathering around our respective screens from various corners all over the world. I'm joining you from Treaty 4 territory. On behalf of my colleagues here at the gallery, I want to express gratitude to the Cree, the Saulteaux, the Dakota, the Lakota, the Nakota, and the Métis people, and elders and ancestors, past and present and future, on whose homeland we are gathered today. I acknowledge and offer deep gratitude to this land and its people and water, all for supporting us. And we're gathered right here now together from various life experiences and perspectives. And I invite all of you, wherever you are, to join me in acknowledging where you are coming from. And you can add your locations in the chat wherever you're joining us from. Today, this land where we're gathered is home to First Nations, Inuit people, settlers, and relative newcomers from across the world. All places have a history thick with meaning. And if we're willing to look for it, we can find incredible stories there. Through colonization, we have seen those stories change. They continue to change radically so. But this doesn't absolve us who are living in the present from seeking responsible and respective ways for us to do our work. As newcomers, we have a role in learning and caring for this place so that we can do our work sustainably, honorably, and with a collective sense of purpose. The McKenzie Art Gallery is delighted to partner with our friends at SACM for this presentation by our Associate Curator, Pham. Tak is going to be introducing us to the work of Dawit L. Petros, which is currently on view here at the MAG in a solo exhibition titled Spazio Disponibile. This exhibition was organized by the Power Plant Contemporary Art Gallery in Toronto and curated by Irene Kempolny. I'm going to hand things back over to Carol to introduce Tak, but I just want to ask everyone to please consider coming to visit and seeing this exhibition in person once you get a little bit more of a context from Tak. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal, and welcome to Regina. And a warm welcome to everyone again. For those of you who may not know about the Saskatchewan African Canadian Heritage Museum, and that's what we call SACM, it is a charitable organization which was incorporated in 2004 and for the main purpose of serving the public good. Our goal is to raise public awareness of the role of people of African ancestry that they played in settling and developing the province, as well as their ongoing contributions as responsible community members and active citizens. So some of you may ask, why celebrate African Canadian Black History Month? We celebrate this important milestone because it is an opportunity for all of us to learn about the wide range of African Canadian experiences and the vital role that this community has played throughout our shared history for over 100 years here in Saskatchewan. So some may not know we've been here that long. And as we are still in unprecedented times with the pandemic and the need for equality of all persons, it is even more important to be aware of the history so we can learn what has and what hasn't worked, and thus build a positive cultural diversity here in our Saskatchewan communities. And we should also remember that we are in the United Nations Declaration International Decade for People of African Descent, which began in 2015 and goes on until 2024. And that goal was to recognize the rights to equality and non-discrimination. With us, SACM, we offer resources through our virtual museum. We're just a virtual museum. We're not, we don't have an actual place. And but we have fact sheets and things that people can learn about, more about Black history in Saskatchewan. So you could visit our website at www.sacm.org. So in recognition of African Canadian Black History Month, we have several people who will bring greetings for this important month. We will first hear from the Honourable Laura Ross, Minister for Parks, Culture and Sports.
Good afternoon. I would like to begin by acknowledging that the land of where I'm speaking from is Treaty 4 territory and the traditional home of the Métis. Thank you for having me here today on behalf of Premier Scott Moe and the Government of Saskatchewan. As the Minister responsible for culture, I am pleased to announce that the Government of Saskatchewan has proclaimed February 2022 as African Canadian Black History Month in Saskatchewan. This month provides an opportunity to learn more about the many achievements and contributions from persons of African heritage who have helped make Saskatchewan the culturally diverse province it is today. As our Saskatchewan province's motto reads, "From many people's strength." The African Canadian community is no exception, as one of these strengths. Thank you to the Saskatchewan African Canadian Heritage Museum for your dedication to the research, teaching, and celebrating of African Canadian heritage in our province. We are gaining a richer version of history and a better perspective of those who make their home and raise their families here in our beautiful province. Best wishes to everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Minister Ross, for the declaration of February as African Canadian Black History Month. Next, we'll hear from Trent Wotherspoon, MLA for Regina Rosemont, on behalf of the Leader of the Opposition. On mute.
Good morning, good day, everyone. It's here on Treaty 4 territory in the homeland of the Métis. It's a real honor to be part of the kickoff to the African Canadian Black History Month once again, and to bring greetings on behalf of my colleagues and our leader with the Saskatchewan NDP, the official opposition. Let me say that the call from the community to have African Canadian Black History Month enshrined in legislation and not just proclaimed annually is one that the official opposition fully supports. I want to give a heartfelt thanks to the Saskatchewan African Canadian Heritage Museum and its leadership on behalf of a grateful province for all that you do to build community Saskatchewan and Canada. I want to thank the McKenzie Art Gallery and its leadership for their efforts here today and throughout the month. Thanks must also go to the African Canadian Resource Network, all the respective cultural associations, MCOS, Black and Sask. Together, you all make Saskatchewan, your province, better and stronger. We know that Saskatchewan's Black community is diverse and well established in Saskatchewan. Even before Saskatchewan was founded, there were Black settlers. People of color have helped build and shape our province ever since, from the early homesteaders near Maidstone who were escaping racial injustices in the United States and searching for a fairer, more equal place to live, to Dr. Alfred Chad in Melfort, the first Black doctor, and so much more, and all the way to current people and leaders like Sharon Ann Brown, Carol LaFayette-Boyd, Ted Gilletta, Muna DeSimon, Abdi Guru, Dr. Carol McNeil, Juliette Bouchy, Latoya Reed, Davi Sage, and so many more. I could go on and on. I want to offer an additional bit of attention on just a few leaders this year. Mavis Ashbourne Palmer, who was recognized with the Saskatchewan Order of Merit, a longtime leader. Teacher Christian Mabanza, who's leading the way in our classrooms and the community. Journalist Amara Isi, a national voice, a local force for change and for good. Her project, Black on the Prairies, told rich and needed stories that had been previously underrepresented in the Canadian conversation, in journalism and as part of our history, and formed a teacher's guide, a phenomenal resource for teachers. Let me say that without doubt, our kids' education curriculum needs to be renewed to reflect and affirm the rich contributions and presence and context of African Canadians within Saskatchewan and Canada. On this front, a big shout out to Carol LaFayette-Boyd and all those that she's working with to make this happen. You have the official opposition's full support, as you know. But it's also important that we recognize the adversity, the hardship, and the struggles that African Canadian people have faced and still faced. I don't need to tell many of you on this call here today, on this presentation, about the racism that people of color still face in our world, in Canada, in Saskatchewan, and yes, right here in Saskatchewan. Let there be no doubt, Black lives matter. We know that hate and systemic racism is all too prevalent and real in our own community, province, and country. And we all, every last one of us, need to continue to show our unwavering commitment to calling out racism and ending discrimination in all of its forms against all people everywhere. After all, words have meaning, and even though they can hurt, divide, and incite violence, they can also inspire, unite, and call us to action. Our province's motto, "From many people's strength," inspires me. It means that everyone in our province should have the same right to grow, succeed, and thrive. We're not there yet, but we must never stop working until we reach that goal. So today and all through this month, as we celebrate with special events, recognizing the important contributions and history of the Black community, and as we reflect and learn from the past, let us also continue to build together toward a future where we all fully and equally benefit from the true strength of Saskatchewan's many people. A better tomorrow awaits. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Wotherspoon. I will now call on Her Worship, Mayor Sandra Masters.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Carol, and I'd like to acknowledge Minister Ross's comments and MLA Trent Wotherspoon's and all those in attendance. Thank you so much for inviting me today to bring greetings on behalf of the City of Regina. And on behalf of my council colleagues and our city, it's an honor to be here to launch African Canadian Black History Month. I want to acknowledge that I'm coming to you from Treaty 4 territory and home of the Métis Nation. African Canadian Black History Month is an important month to reconnect and celebrate the African Canadian community. But your comment is not lost on me, Carol, that it needs to happen all year long on a continuous basis. We need to build on the legacy of those who came before and to recognize the transformative work that African Canadians and their communities within our communities are doing now. By acknowledging and celebrating this work, we begin to foster greater understanding and compassion. We work to be better allies and to help combat the issues around systemic racism, discrimination, racial prejudice, and to be supportive of Black history, experiences, and voices. It's vital that we preserve, honor, and celebrate the rich history, traditions, and contributions of the African Canadians. You've done so much to make Canada the culturally diverse and prosperous nation it is today. That transcends into our province and into our city as well. From science and research to the arts, sports, business, healthcare, from original settlers to new Canadians. We're determined to work towards a more inclusive and diverse community in which everyone belongs and has equal opportunity to grow and succeed. And my hope would be that everyone, all people who settle here, call Regina home, feel welcomed and appreciated and supported. And we work to make more space to ensure those voices and those experiences are heard. I encourage everyone listening to this and beyond who's listening to this to partake in the events and presentations and information that are available and hosted this month and on an ongoing basis. Please visit the McKenzie Art Gallery, the website for the African Canadian Resource Network. Government House has doing some presentations, and SACM. The work being done is incredible. It's beautifully presented and rich in information. These events help celebrate African Canadian Black history, and we know that education is the key to understanding and becoming better, and providing opportunities for all of us to learn and be aware of not just the history, but the present state as well. Thank you so much. I can't express enough appreciation for everyone involved with organizing these events throughout the month. The many organizations and individuals who work to build connections within our community and beyond. Thank you so much again for having me here today to launch African Canadian Black History Month. And a special thank you to SACM for your service to public good. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. We will now call on our heritage partners. First, we will call on SaskCulture, our major financial support people. James Rose.
Thank you, Carol. So just want to first acknowledge I'm gathered here. I'm here in Treaty 4 territory in the traditional homeland of the Métis. It's my pleasure to be here on behalf of SaskCulture Board of Directors, along with all the other honored guests and everyone gathered to recognize African Canadian Black History Month. First, we would like to recognize and congratulate the McKenzie Art Gallery and the Saskatchewan African Canadian Heritage Museum for their tremendous work. This event is a wonderful opportunity to recognize and celebrate the contributions made by African Canadians that call Saskatchewan home. Saskatchewan's population has become much more diverse in the last 15 years, and that trend is expected to continue. Therefore, it is very important that we continue to work together to build culturally vibrant communities where all peoples can come together to live happy, healthy, and productive lives in a province where inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility is recognized as a valuable and enriched asset in our communities. So as the demographics of the province change with each passing year, funding needs to support cultural activity that reaches diverse populations and communities throughout the province. Sask Lotteries is the main fundraiser for sport, culture, and recreation in the province. SaskCulture is in a very privileged position as manager of the cultural section of the trust. Specifically, it provides over $15 million annually to support cultural activity, ranging from galleries and museums to cultural forums, languages, multicultural festivals, and more. These are challenging times, and SaskCulture will continue to work with its partners and the cultural community to ensure a funding delivery system exists and meets the needs of Saskatchewan residents. So to that end, I encourage everyone to continue purchasing lottery tickets. Every time you buy a ticket, you not only have a chance to win big, you're supporting the many volunteer-run sport, culture, and recreation groups, providing opportunities to people of all ages throughout the province. In closing, I would like to thank you once again for your commitment to culture in Saskatchewan. Thank you.
Thank you, James. And I will now call on Rhonda Rosenberg from the Multicultural Council of Saskatchewan, another great supporter of ours. Rhonda.
Thanks, Carol. On behalf of the Multicultural Council of Saskatchewan, excuse me, I'd like to begin by saying how pleased I am to have been invited to speak today. It's truly an honor to join all of you in recognizing African Canadian Black History Month. Thank you, Carol, McKenzie Art Gallery, and all of the honored guests. I acknowledge that in Saskatchewan, we are on treaty land and that we are all treaty people with benefits and responsibilities under these agreements. I join you today from Treaty 4 territory and Western Region 3 of the Métis or Michif Nation. We acknowledge the harms and injustices of ongoing colonialism. We dedicate our efforts to working together in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation. Black History Month started as a week in 1926 in the United States as a way to recognize the achievements of people of African descent. Historian Carter G. Woodson selected the second week of February because it coincided with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, who fought to end slavery in the US. It has grown into a month and to be celebrated here in Saskatchewan. It's an important moment to step back and recognize the many great gifts and contributions of African Canadians have brought to Saskatchewan. We remember those who worked to build a mosaic foundation to our society and the generation building the future. Reflect on some names with me for a moment and excuse those that others have named already. Dr. Alfred Shad, Mattie Mays, Carol LaFayette-Boyd, George Reed, Mavis Ashbourne Palmer, Muna DeSimon, Gordon Yard, Omaira Issa, Christine Luanga, Mecca Okochi, Kazia Katende, Ted Gilletta, Crystal Mays, Senos Timon, Chilombo Muela, and so many more. I also take a moment to acknowledge some of the lives that we've lost. I think of Samuel Uko and Caleb Schmidt, whose lives, due to racism, were cut short far too early. We acknowledge racism as a destructive force in the past and present, including currently seeing the Confederate flag misused as a symbol of freedom. We honor those who work to recognize and reject the systems and behaviors that create and sustain oppression. We celebrate those who dedicate themselves to creating and demonstrating the ways that we can move forward with respect and equity. We commend the solidarity between those confronting anti-Black racism with other struggles. African Canadian Black History Month events are an opportunity to focus on the ways all people contribute to our cultural, social, political, and economic life. It's also important to foster connections between ethnic groups within and beyond communities of African descent in ways that recognize and celebrate differences while building cohesive, shared multicultural communities. Thank you for all your work toward achieving this goal as well. Some resources are available on our own website at mcos.ca, certainly from SACM at sacm.org, from the African Canadian Resource Network. And with increases in immigration, the population of Francophone Africans has also increased dramatically. And the Communauté des Africains Francophones, or CAFs, works to build community, meet the needs of newcomers, and share the rich culture and history during African Canadian Black History Month and throughout the year. Black in Sask is a group making a difference through advocacy and engagement. Feel free to look at all of their resources and share them widely. We are grateful for the ongoing support of Sask Lotteries through SaskCulture, and I'll echo James's plea for those lottery ticket purchases. And that enables MCAS to promote equity, diversity, and inclusion during this month and throughout the year. We now have the opportunity to watch a brand new video. I want to thank MCAS board members, Jessica Amadi and Tatenda Maka, and all those who contributed ideas for your participation in making this video. Your input has been extremely valuable. Thank you and enjoy this month.
Thank you, Rhonda.
We recognize each February as an opportunity to learn about the wide range of African descent experiences in Canada and the role this community has played in our province's history.
Sharing our stories, both those of discrimination and achievement, can only lead to more understanding and acceptance.
Join us as we work towards the elimination of racism during African Black History Month and throughout the year.
Sorry about that, Rhonda. Thank you for that clip. And last but not least, another heritage partner is Wendy Fitch from the Museums Association of Saskatchewan. Wendy?
Thank you, Carol. And good afternoon, everyone. Mayor Masters, Mr. Wotherspoon, and all the other presenters and everyone who's joining us today. I'd also like to begin today by acknowledging that I'm coming to you from Regina, which is located on Treaty 4. However, the Museums Association's work and support reaches lands covered by Treaties 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10, the past, present, and future homelands of Anishinaabe, Dakota, Lakota, Michif Métis, Nakota, and Nehiyawak peoples. Our recognition of this land is an act of reconciliation and an expression of our gratitude to those whose territory we reside upon or are visiting. We respect and honor the treaties that were made on all territories. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we are committed to moving forward in partnership with Indigenous nations in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. It is indeed a great pleasure to be here today on behalf of the Museums Association of Saskatchewan and take part in the launch of African Canadian Black History Month here in our province. Museums play an important role in society as a place where citizens can come together to discover the rich and diverse heritage of their communities. They can be that safe place to discuss those difficult aspects of our province's past, how that past impacts what's happening today, and how we can use our understanding of the past to shape the future we want to see. The Saskatchewan African Canadian Heritage Museum holds a special place within the Saskatchewan Museums community. Special because it is the first museum in the province to exist exclusively as a virtual museum. We look forward to working with SACM as they share their new traveling exhibits with museums and galleries throughout the province. These traveling exhibits will provide communities with a wonderful opportunity to learn about the long, rich history of Saskatchewan's people of African descent and the contributions they've made here since before we even became a province. So I'm proud, therefore, on behalf of the entire Museums Association of Saskatchewan, to participate in today's launch of African Canadian Black History Month in Saskatchewan. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. And before I turn it back to the McKenzie Art Gallery, I want to have some closing remarks. We thank the TD Bank for sponsorship of events throughout the month. And of course, thank you all you great speakers. We really appreciate you being there for us to recognize this month. The TD Bank's generous funding has made it possible for SACM to collaborate with others in recognizing this important month. They have been supporting SACM since 2017 and now support our other events, which are the Newcomers Picnic in June. Please join us. It happens. The Cultural Village, July the 1st, and Kwanzaa, December 26th. I hope all those of you will be able to join us this upcoming year. Our wrap up is for February is on February 26th, and it's hosted by our patron, the Honourable Russ Moracity, Lieutenant Governor of Saskatchewan, and Her Honour Donna Moracity. And again, thank you, McKenzie Art Gallery and Christy Ross and all of you for your coordination and Relco Radio for the free day. We thank you all, the many organizations who partner with SACM and the many others who work tirelessly to provide education, information, and entertainment during African Canadian Black History Month in February and throughout the year. We are grateful for all these partnering opportunities and with the many groups in our province and elsewhere who support our organization and our goals. And I, as the volunteer executive director, want to especially thank Sharon Ann Brown, our board chair, and Winifred Rogers, our co-chair, and the 8 other SACM board members for all their support and assistance over this past very different kind of year. And thanks again to the Ministry of Parks, Culture and Youth for continuing to proclaim February as African Canadian Black History Month. And as Mr. Wotherspoon said, hopefully it will be given. And if you have any comments, send them to McKenzie Art Gallery Facebook and to SACM social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can contact us through our website, sacm.org. So enjoy and learn through February, African Canadian Black History Month. And I now have the pleasure to introduce Pham, the McKenzie Art Gallery's Associate Curator, who will tell you about the program you're about to see, which will be followed by the opportunity to ask questions. Thank you again, and God bless everyone. So Tak, over to you.
Thank you, Carol, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pham, Associate Curator here at the McKenzie Art Gallery, and I'm joining you this afternoon from my own home in Regina, Treaty 4 territories. And it is my honor to share with you today a very short virtual curatorial tour of an exhibition that is currently on view at the McKenzie Art Gallery, and it's called Spazio Disponibile. I'm just gonna share my screen so that we can start the tour. And just a reminder, please feel free to interact with us by April 3rd of this year. So, please make sure that you come and check out the show whenever you can. We will have several Rock free days for folks, who like to bring their friends and their family to visit not only the exhibition, but all the exhibitions that we're currently offering at the gallery. So this exhibition, Spazio Disponibile, this is Italian for available space. So for folks who speak, Spanish, Italian, or French, you might have, already get like the sense of what this title means. And in this exhibition, you will get an opportunity to see a brand new body of work that is a result of Dawit's 14-month research trip that took him across Europe and into East Africa. And on this trip, Dawit wanted to explore the links between colonization, migration, and modernism, specifically looking at the historical subject of the Italian occupation in his home country of Eritrea at the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. Through these exhibitions, Dawit wanted to scrutinize historical gaps in European memory, particularly that of modern Italy. The title of the exhibition, Spazio Disponibile, alluding to the vacant advertising sections that appeared in Rivista Coloniale, a widely circulated early 20th century magazine and the official organ of the Italian colonial project. The title is also a reference to the colonial gaze that viewed the lands of Africa as available space to occupy and exploit. Dawit artistic practice reflects his research into the complex layers of colonial and post-colonial history connecting East Africa and Europe, employing archival materials collecting over a period of 7 years, documenting that attests to the Italian presence in Ethiopia and Eritrea between the late 19th century and the early 20th century. So in the exhibition, you will see an expansive suite of works that reflect on the lingering effect of colonial memory. And here is the first work that kind of like speak to the intentions of the exhibition. And here, if you have already been visited the gallery in the past month, you will notice that outside in our orientation gallery, we installed these 3-piece sculpture at the front to represent the intention, or what the visitors are about to experience in this exhibition. So this work titled Barale 1, 2, 3, and it is a sculpture, a modular sculpture inspired by the stretcher used for the sick and the injured that was brought into Eritrea during the Italian occupation. Petros first encountered this parallel, on his research trip. That were used to transport dirt, cement, and other building materials on construction sites in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. So this shift in the purpose and the function of this medical device that was brought into East Africa by the Italian inspired Dawit to conceptualize an exhibition and a research project that speak to the idea of history of occupation and also the lingering effect of colonialism even after the colonial power had long left the territory. The colorful, the bright colors that you see in the sculptures here, they are inspired by the actual architecture and landscapes in Addis Ababa, and their modular nature, where they can be arranged in several ways. They could be hung like paintings on a wall, and leave or like stay on the floor like sculptures, or leaning on the wall. In this case, represent this idea of neither this or that. This this availability of possibility, but also the openness in terms of like interpretation, to invite us to come in and reinvestigate the history that this exhibition is trying to share with us. And as we're entering into the exhibition space, you will first encounter this work right here on the right, and it's called A Constant Retelling of the Future in the Past. So the triptych of three horizontal photo collage right here is showing the arrival of modernity to Asmara's Eritrea during the Italian occupations. In these photos, you will notice images of factories, cars, especially the Fiat car, the Italian car manufacturer, being juxtaposed with the local laborers who were the main contribution forces in constructing these Italian establishment in East Africa. So in a way, this work right here set a stage for us as viewers to acknowledge that that there was the preeminence, there was this historical campaign in trying to quote unquote introduce modernity into Africa, and following that line of questionings, we also see these two sculpture work. As you can see right here, you can see one of the two right here that is called La Questione Africana, and on the other side of the same work, you will see another question called La Questione Italiana. And these two sculptures together are conceived as a gateway through which the viewers would enter and exit the exhibitions. These questions, La Questione Africana and La Questione Italiana, were inspired by a pamphlet titled La Questione Africana, written and published in 1888 by an Italian government official in Florence. This pamphlet was published following the Battle of Dongali, which took place on January 26 of 1887, fought near Massawa, the present-day Eritrea. At this battle, the Italian army was badly defeated by the Ethiopians. This military loss triggered an acceleration of Italian's colonial project, resulting in a formal declaration in 1890 of the Italian colonial empire in Eritrea. And for over a century, these unresolved historical questions continue to shape the present of both Italy and Africa. So here's the view of the other side of the sculpture. And on the right of the sculptures in this photo you see here, you will see this work called Borderscape Halifax, and this is an image of a fictional seascape, but inspired by the shoreline of Halifax, which is and the particular picture which were taken just a few kilometers away from Pier 21 in Halifax. So Pier 21, if you're familiar with Canadian history, you know that it was the major arrival point for many immigrants from Europe and Africa into Canada and the United States. So by creating a fictional seascape right here, that is near Pier 21, Dawit wanted to re-envision this location as a threshold, a literal and metaphorical boundary that signifies travel and migration. These two images are of a single rocky island the artist slide the image in half and then invert them to create this like this like bay of water, signaling an opening, where you could imagine a ship carrying many migrants, crossing the Atlantic to come to Canada. And through this work, the artist wanted to construct a new narrative, operating within the frame of the image, to talk about concepts like reality, history, truth, that often influence the way that we in the present understand history, and also use it as influencer to shape our future. And as you enter into further into the exhibition, you will encounter another work that share a very similar aesthetic composition with the Borderscape Halifax piece. Here we see another diptych title of Untitled, overlapping the intertwined territory that fall from view, Catania, Italy. Sorry. In each of the photograph here, you would see a depiction of an outstretched arm of Eritrean migrant living in Catania, Italy. On the right, Sammy, you will see the arm of a young guy named Sammy, holding a contemporary photograph of 2 pages from the Revista Coloniale that reads Spazio Disponibile, the title of this exhibition. As I mentioned earlier, this refers to an advertising space for Italian businesses in the colonies and abroad, and a reference for the artist to the land of Africa, including Eritrea, being perceived as available for occupation. And on the left, we see the arm of another young Eritrean migrant man named Adil, who is standing on the shore of Sicily, and he holds a historical picture of Italian migrants in Libya. And both of these photos were taken against, the Mediterranean Sea, which historically has been, has seen a lot of crossings across, between Europe and Africa, as people migrating between the 2 continents. This work raises questions about the historical forces that we must examine in order to understand the present. So by exhibiting this diptych, alongside with the Borderscape Halifax right here, the artist and the curator want to really bring the question of global migration and to give Canada within this context of global migration and the global the contemporary global migration crisis, as and want us viewer to acknowledge that the current global migration crisis that we are seeing right now, that that are occurring even just last year, I would see are the ongoing impact, the ongoing and the long-lasting impact of colonialism that started even even a century ago. And even though the forces aren't as present there and in the places anymore, the people and the descendant of the people who was colonized and occupied are still experiencing the outfall of that occupation. And in the main space of the gallery, on our largest wall in the gallery, you will see 38 an installation of 38 prints from the series Pre-Occupation Risvita Coloniale. And each of these prints right here testify to a year that this Revista Coloniale publication that was in circulation. So it was circulated. It was in circulation from 1906 to 1943. And what the artist did here was that he selected either the cover or the index pages from a select from 38 issues in the history in the publishing history of this magazine, and he removed all of the text available here, leaving behind only blank pages and the images and the graphic that were used to advance and to promote the idea of occupation in Africa to the Italian readers at the time. And here you can also see that each of the issue was grouped by formal elements. Wanted to show progressions of the visual language, and especially the Italian visual language as is progressed at the ideology of the state evolved from a state empire to a fascism power towards the end of the occupation year. Yeah, so here you can see right here, like this suite of years right here. You can really see, the acceleration of the Italian colonial project. Images of ships crossing the ocean, carrying the Italian modernism to Africa. Or like here, or these colorful pages here, signifying the evolution of the Italian empire and the transition of power and the shift in ideology from imperialism to fascism. As we can see here, there are like two prints that correspond to that to those years. And towards the end, we can really see, this evolution of Italian modernist aesthetic coming into full completion. With this image of kind of like friendly Africans and of like airplanes and of like surveyors, and then this like neoclassical appropriation of neoclassical elements to signify the Italian modernism campaign. And we also have, some of the prints brought down from the wall and put on a table to, reassemble the feeling or like the spirit of reading the magazine, so you can closely examine the narrative or like the propaganda, if that was put forward by the Italian government at the time. And right next to it is this installation here, comprised of 4 very dark and reflective mirrored piece called Spectre La Teleferica. And here is kind of like a photo of that work that would increase exposure to reveal the image that is hidden behind the work. So if you were in the gallery right now, it's like you will have to like navigate a little bit to actually see this image right here, and that is done on purpose because the artists want to talk about this this disappearing of memory, particularly to the disappearing of the of the memory of the Italian colonial project in East Africa. As we know that that the history hasn't really been discussed much on a global stage. Mostly when we talk about the European imperialism, we think of the British imperialism, the French, the Spanish, the Dutch. But there hasn't been much conversation about the Italian colonial project in Africa, and it is because of multiple reasons. The Italian project didn't really get to the scale like others bigger empires. But regardless or not, whether or not it was a successful or unsuccessful project, the Italian was in Eritrea and Ethiopia for almost 40 years, and they have really made big impact on to the history and the culture of these people who were living in those territories. So that is the reason why this work right here named Spectre. The ghost, and then in bracket we have this name, La Teleferica, is a name of this actual historical project that was built by the Italians in Eritrea. So at the time, La Teleferica was the world's longest cable car, extending 2672 kilometers and climbing 2,325 meters in elevation from the port of Massawa to Eritrea's capital city, Asmara. And it was used for transportation. The cable car was built by the Italians as a demonstration of colonial technical superiority. So after the Italian left the territory, this cable car project was left without any proper maintenance, and currently all you will see, all left of it is just some remnant of the base. So none of the towers exist anymore. And we will see an actual photograph of the current state of the Teleferica in just a moment. But across from next to that work and across from the 38 print, we will see another two works right here. So you will re-encounter again the barrale that you already saw at the entrance. So this is the second half of the sculpture. So the sculpture in total, it has 6 parts, 6 individual modular piece like this. So we kind of experiment with different way to compose it and to arrange it, but also to speak about this hybridity, the malleable characteristic of memory and history, and how one can really bring appropriate memory and history, especially of a forgetting history. But then right next to it, we will see another suite of 5 smaller prints. And these are also inspired by the Revista Coloniale. But however, in this print, Dawit wanted to really focus on, the modernist graphic visual elements in those magazines, to really, showing the parallel of the Italian colonial project and the Italian modernism that is still very much, highly celebrated in art and design and architecture as well. And I mentioned earlier about the current state of the Teleferica. So here is you will have like this one photo right here that's showing the base of the cable car. So this is what's left of that project right now in Eritrea. But right next to it, we have a clusters of photographed, and this is a series called The Persistent Presence of Shadow. And they are popular images of Italian cinema in Asmara that was built during the 1930s. And they reveal facades with dramatic vertical windows, columns, recessed windows, and detailed decoration. But it must speak to an Italian modernist architecture. The artist undercuts the grandeur of the Italian colonial project here by concentrating instead on the interiors, reviewing fragments and spatial views shrouded in shadows. And as part of this installation, we also have a voice piece that coming from hidden loudspeakers. So if you go into the gallery, and when you stand here, you will hear this soundtrack that is populating the whole gallery. And the name of that soundtrack is called The Soundscape of Modernity, Asmara. And they are ambient sound of Asmara, recordings of anti-cinema, whistling, speaking voices, and sound of labor. And it serves as a contemporary archive of sound, which raises questions about forms in which knowledge is recorded. And then as we, entering into the hallway, going to the black box, where we will encounter the last work in the exhibition, you will have the opportunity to see the actual document, the actual Rivista Coloniale, the publication that served as the source material for a lot of the work, the artwork in this exhibition. So here you have pictures of that advertising pages in the magazines, and right next to it, you will also have a 20-minute long video work of the artist slowly flipping through pages of the magazine. So with this, our hope is that to provide you with some historical context, so that you understand why Dawit wanted to use this material and to manipulate it for his art. And in the black box is a 2-channel video piece by the title All at One Point, Casa Study No. 1. And in this video, you will hear the voice of Dawit Petros, who is a specialist on Italian colonial architecture in Asmara, Eritrea. And you will hear him comparing the Casa d'Italia, House of Italy, which is a community center in Montreal, and how he is comparing that building with similar architectural structures in Eritrea. The Casa d'Italia, it was built in 1936 during Italy's fascist period. The building was intended to be a community space for Italian migrants in search of new job opportunities in Canada. The young Canadian architect Pasi Colangelo was commissioned to employ what might be described as a rationalist style to articulate the ideals of fascism and its vision of modernity. This is reflected in the monumentality of the buildings, rotunda, the big hall, the repetition of vertical windows and columns, and the use of Italian marble. So by comparing this Italian community building in Montreal with other similar architectural buildings in Eritrea. The artist wanted to highlight, this desire of the Italian Empire at the time to really, spread their influences, but also using it as a historical record of recording, the Italian colonial project, preventing it from being forgotten by bigger histories. And that is the last work in the exhibitions. And it was our honor to receive this exhibition and received curator Irene Campomi, who visited our city in December to help install this exhibitions. So from the very quick bio here, you will notice that Dawit Petros, the artist, is actually from here. He immigrated to Saskatchewan with his family in his teenage year, and he went to the University of Saskatchewan for his very first BFA in history before he moved to New York, and now currently living in between Montreal and Chicago, where he is a professor of art, and his family is still living in Saskatchewan, just outside of Regina. So it is our pleasure, to really be able to bring this history here, to his community and to his family. And we hope that throughout this with this presentation that I'm giving this afternoon, we'll be able to bring more awareness about this particular history of the Black diasporic community, and to inspire more folks to come and learn and share more stories with us throughout this month and beyond. Thank you, everyone. And just like I mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comments on whichever platform that you're watching. And I'd be happy to answer some quick question or to revisit any of the slides. All right. Well, it's definitely a lot to reflect upon, and like my little tour, virtual tour here, like this actually doesn't do as much as much justice to the shows. I would highly encourage folks to visit the exhibitions, and and one of our gallery attendant would be happy to answer any other question or to walk you through the exhibition again. And with that, I would like to thank everyone for tuning in and joining this opening celebration of Canadian African Black History Month. And I hope to see you again soon at another virtual event from the McKenzie Art Gallery. Thank you, everyone.